Hi boys and girls, today you are going to be dissecting the flower that you collected outside. So in the previous slide of our seesaw assignment, you were asked to go out and collect some flowers and pick one flower that you think had the most parts that you could easily identify. So here is my flower, and here are the things that I'm going to need for my flower dissection. The first thing I have is like a little plastic knife, so in case I need to cut some of the parts open. I have my paper that I wrote all of the vocabulary words on that I had folded into 8 separate sections. And I also have my seesaw assignment open with my vocabulary words on it so that I can refer to them, or I can look back on the vocabulary words and know exactly what I'm looking for, okay? So, the first vocabulary word that you are going to be looking for is a sepal. And on my vocabulary it says, the sepal is a small part growing at the base of the flower that looks like tiny leaves. So I'm going to look for the little, I'm going to take one of these flowers off. Let's see, I want to find one with sepals. So I'm going to look for the ones with the tiny leaves. So usually flowers will have these tiny leaves at the bottom. Do you see them, boys and girls? Those little tiny leaves are called the sepals. So I'm going to take them off and I'm going to lay them here on my box. Oops, they don't want to come off my finger. And those are my sepals, okay? The next part that I'm going to look for are my petals. And on my vocabulary it says, petals give a flower its unique shape and is brightly colored to attract insects or other creatures. So these are my petals. They are the orange outer part of my flower. So I'm going to take my petals off and I'm going to lay them on the paper where it says petals. Okay. The next part that I'm looking for is the receptacle. The receptacle is the thick bottom part that holds the major organs. So do you see the thick bottom part there? That is my receptacle. So I'm just going to kind of pull it off and I'm going to lay it here on my sheet. I have found 3 of my 8 parts already. The next part I'm looking for is my stamen. The stamen is the male part of the flower. It has anthers at the top and a filament at the bottom. So it has these little things at the top and the long pieces at the bottom. Now I know that my next part is also going to be the pistil. And the pistil is also a long part, but it's the female part in the middle. So if you look very closely, the little parts of my flower, there's one part that's bigger and looks a little bit different. So I'm going to guess that that's my pistil and that these outer ones are my stamen. So I'm going to take my stamen off, and this is where you might need to use your knife or just gently pull them apart. Okay, so here are my stamen. They are the ones that look different, and if you refer back to your video, you're going to see that the top of the stamen has, the top of the stamen has an anther, and it looks like a little, it's like a little sideways piece at the top. So this is my stamen, okay? And then the middle part was a little bit different. This is my pistil, and the pistil is the female part, okay? It has a stigma at the top and a style that leads down to the ovary. So somehow there's a little tube in here that leads down to the ovary. All right, the stigma is the sticky bulb in the middle of the flower. So the stigma is going to be at the top of the pistil. So I don't want to break that apart because it's such a tiny piece, so I'm just going to leave it. It's the top part of the pistil. Now I'm looking for, actually the style is the long part, the stigma is the top. So I'm not going to have anything for my stigma and style because that's all a part of the pistil, okay? The last part is my ovary. Now the ovary is going to be inside of that little receptacle. So I'm going to take another flower and I'm going to pull it apart. This is a little flower, so you're going to have to look carefully. If you pull that apart, you're going to see in the bottom of that receptacle there is an ovary, okay? Whoops, it's going to be hard to find, but I can see it when I look down in there. Do you see the ovary way down in there? Okay. And I'm gonna lay that right there on my paper. So I have identified all of my parts that I could find, and I have put them on my paper. Now I'm gonna take a picture of this paper, and I'm gonna post this paper with all of my parts on it, a picture of it, and the video that I'm just sharing with you on the next slide, and I want you to do the same. So I hope you have fun with this, and I hope you do a great job and get to identify as many of the flower parts as you can. Good luck.